All right, our next guest is a sales and marketing professional, passionate about how her company, TitleOne, makes closings memorable for all the right reasons.
Yes.
As the VP of Sales and Marketing, she is responsible for implementing marketing strategies that increase brand awareness, generate leads, and acquire new customers, and ensuring her new and existing customers have a great customer experience. When she isn't working, you'll find her fishing with her husband and daughter, playing with her two Labradors, and enjoying a good cup of coffee with scotch in it. No, just kidding. I made up the scotch. If you'd like to reach her, you can call her at 612-435-8519 or email at danad@titleone.com, 612-435-8519, or email at danad@titleone.com. Here today to talk about remote online notary closings. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome Dana Diesch of TitleOne.
Thank you, Scott.
All
Appreciate
right.
the introduction.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you. And I never thought in my life that this topic would excite me as much as it does. But I can tell you it's one of the top of mind topics I've had for the last few months since hearing about it. In fact, It was one of the key reasons that I reached out to you at TitleOne.
Thank you.
Because I thought it was just such a phenomenal product that I'm willing to sever an existing relationship just to work with you guys because of it. So, and I have had my first closing with you guys, and it was a wonderful experience. So,
especially your closer, right?
Yeah, it was fantastic. Everything went well. We had some buyer-related issues, but it was not a problem. We worked through those, and the property closed, and here we are, living happily ever after.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's our goal, right?
Yes, it is.
So, Dana, I want to start with just a simple question. Define what a remote online notary closing is to the layperson who's never heard of the term before.
It's truly electronic. Nothing is signed, wet signed, they like to call it, with a pen. Everything is done on a computer where you actually electronically apply your signature to the documents for the closings.
Okay, so say, for instance, for argument's sake, I was in California.
Yes.
On the beach at the Surf and Sand Hotel.
Sounds similar to our first remote online notary closing.
Oh, really?
Yes,
in
it
Laguna
does.
Beach. So tell me about that experience, or tell me what that would look like.
Well, there were two gentlemen. They were in California at their second property or their vacation property, and they were closing on a purchase here in Minnesota. Remote online notary e-closing was approved for the state of Minnesota, became legal in January. And on the very day that the USPS was closed because it was so cold in Minnesota, these gentlemen were in California, closing with TitleOne and our technology vendor and their real estate agent electronically via their iPhone.
Really? That was my next question. You said a computer. I'm like, does that include a connected device?
Anything with a video conference, where we can do, like, if you think about FaceTime, where we can actually see you. And you can get a Wi-Fi connection because you do have to show your ID. You do have to scan the room to prove you're not being coerced into doing the transaction.
Okay.
So there is some safety features to that, just like coming physically into a closing when you give somebody your ID.
Okay. So you said they were with a technology partner, or like who were they with when they were closing?
They were with themselves.
Really?
In their vacation property, I think it was. But the technology partner that we use is somebody who sets up the closing. We provide them with the documents. They set it all up. They work with the individuals to get it scheduled. And then the real estate agent, the lender, the borrowers, or the homeowners in other cases, and the title agency can all attend that closing to help support the closing electronically.
Okay.
So it's just like sitting at a table, but everybody's on their own device dialing in, and that technology vendor brings everybody together, and they actually are the notaries for the electronic version. So remote online notary e-closing, the technology vendor is also the notary. It's not the closer with TitleOne who's notarizing everything.
Okay, so they are actually registered notaries, like
Correct.
in the state that they're in, or in the state that the closing's happening.
The state of Minnesota does not require the notary to be in the state of Minnesota. So one of our technology vendors is not here in Minnesota, but we are set up with more than one. We do have one that is set up in Minnesota because some of the underwriters that provide the title policies do require that notary be a state of Minnesota notary.
Okay. That's really good to know. I happen to be a notary too, by the way.
Me too.
Yeah.
We have that in common as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
My commission expires in January of 2023 or something like that. Anyway, so let me back up a little bit. Do you know approximately, does every state allow this right now, or approximately how many do, or tell us a little bit more about that?
Not every state. We follow Texas, I believe, and there's been Colorado and several since. I don't know the statistic on how many of our 50 states are approved via their legislation to do remote online notary e-closings, but it seems like every month we have more and more joining. So that kind of goes into where I've told you, Scott, in 3 to 5 years, TitleOne does see this as the future of closings, as more states and more lenders get approved to do it.
Well, this is what's exciting to me, like the fact that, again, we can be, almost anywhere, correct? Like
Correct.
You had mentioned prior to the show that you guys did an international closing.
Yes. So we had one person that was here in Minnesota like a husband and wife situation, and one was in China, and then we had another situation where somebody was in Africa.
Wow. Step me through that. Was there like anything, they didn't have to go to the consulate to get it? No.
You have to have a Wi-Fi connection, and then you have to have a video capable device like an iPhone.
Right.
Your laptop usually has one, an iPad.
Well, and I think, unless your phone predates space travel, you probably do have a camera on it now. I mean, I do know a couple people who still have the flip phones.
Motorola is bringing out the Razr again,
right,
limited edition,
right.
so there are a few.
Well, and I think these guys, they're the classic black helicopter guys. I think when they go on their computer, they're in like the I don't know if you saw Enemy of the State. There's this guy Brill. He was played by Gene Hackman. He was in like this copper cage, like doing any of the work he did because he was so fearful of the government chasing him.
Oh, wow.
Which we're not going to get in that. That's
another day, another topic.
Yeah. We're going to talk conspiracy theories, maybe next week.
Yeah.
So you already talked about the first online notary closing that you conducted, which was in California, correct?
The borrowers were the buyers.
The buyers
homeowners
were
in California. Yep.
And were the homeowner or the buyers were in California? Let's talk about what is a requirement beyond having a connected device with a camera. Like, can anyone do this in Minnesota, or is there restrictions?
I really thank you for asking me that, Scott, because right now there are some qualifications. So not every transaction qualifies. If it's a cash purchase, you can do them all day long, no questions. If it's a financed purchase or a refinance, so if somebody owns a home and they want to refinance it, or they're going to purchase a home and have it financed, the lender has to be approved by Fannie or Freddie to be able to do electronic documents.
Okay.
Once they're approved to do that, then the financed option is available. But if we're doing a seller side transaction, and if TitleOne's not representing the seller and the buyer, where it's a qualified transaction for that buyer, we have to ask the other title company if they'll accept electronically signed documents. And that comes down to their underwriter and whether they would accept it or not.
The title insurer who's writing the policy. Okay.
Yeah. And then when you think about, we're only licensed in the state of Minnesota. So there's some outlier counties that aren't quite accepting 100% electronically signed documents, but it's such a minimal percentage that we're almost there.
So the major counties in Minnesota, say Hennepin, Ramsey, Washington.
Twin Cities
area?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
We actually helped Scott County through their first one.
Really?
Yes. I wasn't a part of it, so I don't know all the details, but I do know that my closer out of our Woodbury office and our technology contact, our subject matter expert on technology here at TitleOne, they helped them through it because it was their first one. And
oh, wow.
They didn't quite know exactly how that was going to go as well. So we do partner with people to help walk them through the steps, share our experience, or get them connected to third parties that can help them out.
Yeah, it's that concept of reciprocity, right? Those, you help others, it should come back to you too.
Absolutely.
Mean, it's the golden rule, for lack of a better
well,
word.
Scott, at TitleOne and myself personally, it comes down to, is that client, that consumer who's buying a home, selling a home, or refinancing a home, having the most easiest, convenient, and best customer experience possible? At the end of the day, that's what all of our focus should be.
I agree. That's 100% our goal. And again, this is what attracted me so much to TitleOne. I mean, I know you guys have great rates and stuff, but this is a real service to a consumer. We all have busy lives.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks in terms of how busy their own lives are, and it's true. We have to be cognizant of our limitations. And when you're moving, it's a stressful period to begin with. Adding a drive to a closing, say the weather is terrible. I think you had a situation, where I'm sure being in Minnesota, the weather changes every 5 minutes.
Well, the weather is the first thing that most people think of. Oh, I'm not going to have to go fight the traffic on 494, or I'm going to have to fight the snow and the ice in the winter. But also think about people trying to coordinate childcare schedules, getting time off work where you have to add the commute in, where maybe they could grab a conference room or a small corner in their office, even if they're in a cubicle, and they could close at work and not miss any time off work.
Right. It's just such a time saver, such an efficiency tool. Yep. And I know not everybody gets to work for me, so like getting off work is probably more of a problem everywhere else than it is here. But for an agent, for agents, for loan officers, this is such a great tool or arrow in your quiver, I guess, to give your clients a higher level of service. The move is stressful. It is. There's enough going on.
The most stressful situation of your life, probably.
Yeah,
one of the most.
And if you could magically teleport your furniture to the house, you would do it. But if you could avoid spending 2 hours in traffic driving to a closing and focus that time on your family and getting settled in a new place, or say you're on vacation and a closing gets delayed to your vacation time and you're literally in California or
you're not
elsewhere.
Scheduling around that. You're continuing your life as is, but still being able to conduct business.
So what does this cost? What does the extra cost?
So the technology vendors I've mentioned, they do have a small fee to do remote online notary e-closings. At TitleOne, we do not pass that on to our clients.
Oh, really?
We do not.
You absorb it?
We absorb it. We do not add it in. In fact, in some situations, it can actually save you money. If you're a seller, oftentimes you want to pre-sign. Either you don't want to go to closing, you don't want to sit across from the buyers, or it just doesn't work with your schedule. So you pre-sign your documents. I believe similar to your situation with me.
I always pre-sign.
Correct. Well, when you pre-sign, occasionally there is a fee for that, $100 actually at TitleOne. If we have to still travel to the closing and represent you after you've pre-signed, or we have to ship a lot of documents, that comes with a hard cost, right?
Right.
So occasionally we have to charge a $100 pre-sign fee. If you did a remote online notary e-closing instead of that pre-sign, we would avoid that $100 fee.
Wow. I'm thinking about all the money I'm going to save and all the time. And really, I joke a little bit about it, but I'm dead serious when I say, if you can save people time and stress, you're giving them their life back a little bit. It's a very powerful thing.
Yep. But you also are empowering certain people too. If you think about the senior citizen that's living in assisted living and they're of a well mind, but they can't physically get to a closing, or you have a military personnel that is deployed, they could still be a part of those transactions.
Right. I didn't even think about the military aspect.
Yes.
Think how amazing that is.
Yep. And if you're the buyer, you're dictating what time that closing is going to happen, and you can choose what time to schedule that. So even if you think internationally, we can work out a time where everybody early in the morning, towards the end of the day, could all be involved.
So let me ask you this. You mentioned this is a good segue back to an earlier point you made. When the closing, the remote online notary closing happens, do other people have to be in the room? Can it just be, it's just you and just maybe go over that again, just so I'm clear. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to back it up even a little bit farther.
Okay.
A day or two in advance of your closing, you're going to get your documents in advance where you can review them and ask questions. When you're doing a closing where you're walking into a closing office, usually the first time you're seeing those documents are when you sit down at that closing table, right? So it's a good chance to be able to read those documents and then talk to your closing team at TitleOne directly and ask them those questions. Then when the day of the closing comes, we work with you to determine what time you want to schedule your closing for. At that time, that technology vendor, who is also the notary I mentioned, will get online with you, and then TitleOne does attend our closing. So we attend the closing, and we sit through that closing with you, and it doesn't last any more than the hour you would spend at the closing table.
Okay.
We walk through it. The reason TitleOne likes to attend is so we can answer any questions that you have, because the technology vendor is a notary. They still don't replace that closing team that you have with TitleOne.
Right. What how difficult is it for, say, a lender who isn't currently approved to do the remote online notary closings with Fannie and Freddie? How difficult is it for them to sign up?
I would say it'd be a 3 to 6 week process. And
Okay.
I've actually had a director at Fannie Mae say, let me know who they are. I would love to talk to them. Get them in connection with the right people. The technology vendors have offered to help them out as well.
Okay.
Nobody should fear it. Reach out to us as a resource. Let us help you, guide you, share our experience.
Well, again, how do we get a hold of you, or if someone who's interested get a hold of you?
They can call me at 612-435-8519 or email me at DANAD@TitleOne.com. And that stands for Dana Diesch at TitleOne.com.
Awesome. And we'll put that information on our show notes and on our YouTube channel.
Thank you very much. I
People
appreciate
can find
that.
that easily, and we'll put a link to Title One and you directly. Any way we can help promote this. I think this is a game changer in real estate.
So do we. If I could yell from the IDS tower and tell everybody, I would, but I don't think they'll let me up there.
Oh no, you got to get on a rock and get to the space station. This is how good this
All
is.
right.
And I'm like, I'm
Let's build one.
absolutely, I'm absolutely just giddy with this, and I think it's well overdue, and I can't wait to see everyone doing this. So again, Dana Diesch from Title One, thank you for
Thank you,
coming today.
Scott.
This has been awesome, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
You too. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.